Welcome to the Virtual Classroom Moderator Guide. In this video, I'm going to discuss recorded meetings, how you preview them, how you copy a public URL from a recorded meeting, how you might check attendance from a recorded meeting, and then lastly, how to add recorded meetings to content, both for better viewing on the part of your participants, as well as to track progress of students who may be watching those recordings asynchronously. Let's get started. Here I am in the virtual classroom. In the instructor view, I can see my active meetings on the top. These are meetings that are scheduled for sometime in the future. And then my recorded meetings show down at the bottom. There are several actions that you can perform with a recorded meeting. To get to these, go to the three-dot menu to the right of the meeting. The first thing you can do is preview the recording. The first thing to notice about this preview is that it's quite small. Here you'll see anything that was added to the whiteboard, whether that's a presentation or a screen share. Here you'll see anything that was uploaded. Here you'll see the webcam. And here you'll see any chat messages that happened during the recording, and those chat messages will appear at the time they appear in the recording, so you'd have to press play to see them. And then here you can click to download any files that were shared in the chat while the session was being recorded. There's a full screen toggle, but you have to choose. You could either full screen toggle what's on the whiteboard, or you can full screen toggle the webcam, but you can't full screen toggle both at the same time in preview mode. Another action that you can do is share a public link to the recorded session. Maybe a student's having trouble finding the recording. Maybe you want to share it with someone outside of the class. Whatever that may be, you can just copy this. It'll save it to your clipboard, and then when you're ready, you can paste it into the body of an email. Another action is you could download the recording. A note here, when you download the recording, it will separate out the video from the audio file. We can help you put those back together, but it's kind of a process. Just let us know. You can also check attendance for your class session. The attendance will show the names of the participants, their role as educator or student. A note here, if a student joins the virtual classroom through a link rather than going through your Pantherlearn shell, they'll be listed here as anonymous rather than as a student. It will show the number of minutes attended and the number of messages sent through the public chat. Any participants who log in and join your virtual classroom meeting by dialing in over the phone will not be recorded here in attendance. My recommendation is that if you have participants who join your meeting through dial-in, you just ask them to let you know so that you can make a note of it. The last action you could perform here is to delete the recorded meeting. As we've reiterated in a number of places in this moderator guide, we highly recommend that you don't just archive recorded meetings here in the virtual classroom. Instead, we really recommend that you add them to content. To do that, click on Content, navigate to the module where you'd like to add the virtual classroom. Again, here, this is our 16-week template that has not yet been filled in. Click on Add Existing Activities, scroll down to the virtual classroom, and then choose the meeting that you would like to add to content. The recorded meeting is what we're going to add here. And so now that recorded meeting has been added right there to content. If you schedule a meeting from beginning in content, then you don't need to add the recorded meeting to content later. You can just schedule it in content, and then after it happens, it will appear here as a recorded meeting. In order to see the advantages of adding recorded meetings to content, let's see what it looks like as a student. I'm going to log out and log in as a test student. As a test student, then, I can navigate to that same weekly module, and here I'll see the recorded meeting. I can click on it right from here. And when I access the recorded meeting from content, it opens up in a much larger view. I can watch both whatever's on the whiteboard and the webcam at the same time. I can still make these full screen if I'd like, but I can see them both at the same time. I can also see anything that was uploaded down here. I can see chat messages as they appear, and I can download any files that were shared in the chat. It's a really helpful tool for a student to be able to rewatch any of those virtual classroom meetings here in content. In addition, when it's added to content as a resource, I can make sure that I've completed what I needed to complete. So I get this completion tracking. I'm 100% done. I've got this check. I've watched this meeting, and I've got the check here, which signals to me as a student visually that I've done what I needed to do. In contrast, if I go up here to Virtual Classroom, as a student, my class meetings are not sorted by what's coming up in the future and what's been recorded. I do have these options here only with recorded meetings where I can preview the recording. And again, that's going to open in that very small window for me as a student. That's going to be hard to even read the text that's included on some of those whiteboard presentations. So for the student view, it really is helpful to add those virtual classrooms to content. Now let's go take a look again at the instructor view. Another benefit of adding the virtual classroom to content is that when I go to it in content, and as an instructor, if I click on the meeting, when I scroll down, I get this additional tab called Completion Summary. And here I get a very quick view of which students have viewed this content. And I can see here that test student 2, who I just logged in as, has viewed this topic and the date that they viewed it. And so this allows me to track for those asynchronous students who were unable to attend a live synchronous session, have they viewed the topic afterwards? Now, suppose you want more than just that they've viewed the topic. Suppose you want to know how much time they spent watching the video. We do have a little bit more detail if you scroll up to the nav bar and click on Tools and navigate to Class Progress. I'm going to take a look at Test Student 2. And we'll go to Content. Go down to week 4, where our recorded meeting was placed. I can see here the student has made progress. I can look at additional details by clicking this button. And here I actually get the number of visits and the amount of time that the student spent watching it. So if my virtual classroom recording was 50 minutes, I can see here the student only spent 53 seconds. That might not quite count for attendance. Of course, always up to the instructor what will count and what doesn't. This is just to give you the information that you need to make that decision. Again, the only way to get this kind of completion tracking is by adding the virtual classroom meetings to content. If you just leave it in the virtual classroom, you won't have access to this because it won't have been tracked to begin with. As you can see, there's a lot to be done with recorded virtual classroom meetings. To learn more, check out the Help Center on PantherLearn or visit the Faculty Services Professional Development page. You'll find loads of webinars recorded through the virtual classroom on the Faculty Services page, and from there you can get the experience of a student watching a webinar. Feel free to email facultyservices@ohiodominican.edu with any questions or concerns you may have about managing your recorded sessions. Thanks. Have a good one.